One of the most common questions I've gotten since I started posting stuff here and is about offerings. What are they? Should we be doing them? How do we do them if we should be doing them? Why? It's a much more complex answer that I want to give. So let's talk about it today on Creation's Paths. Hello, everyone. My name is Charlie. I am a non-binary sci-fi fantasy writer, and I'm also a practicing druid, and I'm joined today by my husband, Brian.
Hello.
Today, we're going to talk about offerings as living temples. I want to start there because it's important for me to ground everything in this understanding that I'm approaching this from a Christo-pagan point of view. And within Christianity, one of the things that we are supposed to remember is that we are living temples. Our body is a living temple. Our heart is the altar of that temple. Our lives are a living sacrifice to God. In fact, prayer is everything that you do. All of our actions, all of our deeds are prayer, and in some respects are offerings. But I feel like if we're going to understand what an offering is, we have to start with that it is something freely given. Anything that's demanded of you is not an offering. In fact, in the Proverbs, we're reminded that giving to others has a strong relationship to receive from others. But when somebody asks us to give, and we do, we have our reward already.
It is an exchange.
It is an exchange. And I think a lot of people, especially in the prosperity gospel, really need to reread the Proverbs because saying give to me and you will get blessings. Well, if you say give to me and they give to you, the scripture says that they have already received their reward and having done what you asked. So yeah, that may be not how that works. An offering is something that we do to establish relationship. This could be as simple as offering a prayer, offering praise, writing a poem and reciting it. Offerings can be any number of things. The most important thing is that they are freely given. There's a difference between an offering and a sacrifice. Sacrifices were on the old schedule of on this day we bring this to the temple and it is offered to the gods or to God or to whatever. That is a sacrifice. It is demanded of you and it's something that you have to do. Offerings come from the heart.
It's an act of gratitude. It was one of the things that helped me to understand offerings on a deeper level, especially with so many of us operate in this exchange mindset. I do this, I get that. I give this, I get that. I write my list for the Santa, I get these gifts in exchange. Not an offering. It's as an act of gratitude that changed that whole understanding for me.
Offerings are kind of the other side of grace.
Yes, grace is given. It's a gift that's given to another.
Here, we receive grace from the spirits and we give offerings to them. It's a reciprocal relationship to show that we have love, devotion, that we are part of this community, that we are part of this relationship, and that this relationship is reciprocal, that we are not just here to take. I think this is one of the greatest misunderstandings about prayer is I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and I got nothing. I don't want to be that person that's like, well, what did you offer? Because it's not a transactional relationship. That's very important to understand here. We're not saying give gifts to God or the gods or to a spirit and you will receive back. That's not how that works. We're not paying for services. That's not how this works. When you are constantly demanding of the universe, well, the ground dries up. You can't plant the same crop every year in the same place and not fertilize the land or rotate the crops around. You have to give back to the land or the land is going to stop growing the crops.
Going back to the episode, The Law of Returning Tides,
Yeah.
there has to be that activity, those actions, that causal chain has to be stimulated.
And so sometimes we receive and then we begin to give, and sometimes we give in hopes of attracting attention. to show our devotion. Maybe you are interested in Bridget, and so you start lighting a candle and start flame tending or any of those practices in hopes of attracting her attention or to let her know of your devotion. Maybe you begin saying a rosary to the Blessed Mother, which is also an offering. Sometimes we are doing this to just acknowledge we are here for you. Hopefully you will be there for us. It is about establishing a relationship. I know I'm harping on this a bit, but we have such a transactional understanding of the universe that discussing offerings becomes tricky. So many people tend to either teach the idea of an offering or practice their offerings with this mindset of, I give this gift in order to receive. That's not how the universe works.
It's not an offering, it's a payment.
It's a payment. It's a bribe.
Yeah.
And you can't bribe the gods. You can't bribe the spirits. You can't bribe life. That's not how any of this works. Putting fertilizer in the ground is not bribing the soil to give you a crop. It's nourishing the soil. It's feeding the soil. It's granting it. It's participating in a reciprocated relationship with the soil, that I planted this crop that pulled these nutrients out of you, so I am going to offer these nutrients back. Like with everything we've been talking about this month, it is relational.
To be Buddhist for a minute, when you're looking at the causal chain of all of it, so many start in the middle link. They start with either where they're presently at or after. They forget to look at the links before, the causes before. For instance, with the planting of the crop, fertilizing the ground, odds are something was already grown there. Something was already taken out. You've already received a grace, so then you're giving an offering in gratitude for that grace. And many of us, myself included, for the longest time, I struggled with this topic and struggled with gratitude and truly understanding what it is, recognizing that causal chain goes way before, and it probably involves many more people before me, helped me to understand that better.
Part of my devotions to Bridget, for example, is to offer a perpetual light. Because of where I live and the fact that I have a lot of animals in my house, I don't actually light a flaming candle. Because what if a cat were to hit the table or try to jump up there and knock it off? What if we had a storm? Many reasons I do not feel comfortable having a live fire going 24/7, 365 in my house. They still offer light. I have a wonderful electric candle, an LED candle, and I chose a very specific crystal that I put on top of it that takes that light and shines it out into the room. This is the offering. That candle is always on, always has power to it, and this is the offering that I make. When I see it, I say a little prayer. Every morning when I see it, I say a little prayer. Every night before I go to bed, I say a little prayer. And it is a constant reminder and a beacon of my relationship with her. I don't have to do this. This is where I think people misunderstand offerings. Again, if I had to do it, it would be a sacrifice. It would be demanded. It's part of the relationship that I have. She shares the light of her forge with me, and I have this wonderful gift of creativity. The poetry that I write, the words that I write, the images that I make, all of this comes from the light from the fires on her forge. And so to me, it is only fitting to offer light and gratitude and thanksgiving. It's not just this little LED candle that's glowing over there in front of a picture of her. It's also those little prayers. Every day, more and more prayers get added to this light. Every night, more and more prayers get added to this light. And together they are this ever-streaming fountain of offering, of gratitude, of thanksgiving, of devotion that show, and that's the important thing here. Remember, we've said a million times that actions, right? Faith without works is dead. It's our actions that show our faith. It's our actions that show what we truly believe and who we truly are. Maya Angelou said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. It's our actions, not our words, that show who we are. It is important for us to do offerings, to take time for offerings. When I was very active in the Catholic Church, one of the offerings that I did regularly was I would go to Eucharistic adoration. and would have continued doing that when we moved here, but the local church doesn't do that, which I have questions about. Um, that's a whole other topic for a different day. But that was the offering. I'm giving my time. I'm giving my devotion. I'm literally going there before the Blessed Sacrament in prayer and in devotion, offering part of my time, part of my week. I would often go, especially when I was living in Frederick, I would go and do this with the nuns and be there for hours and in prayer and meditation before the Blessed Sacrament. Same thing when I lived in Pennsylvania. That is an offering. That is as much an offering as lighting the candle, which, by the way, in many Catholic churches, we still do. You light a candle when you're saying a prayer. It is a votive offering. We give a daily offering to the house spirits that are in the house. I had a thought one day of how much I love the ginger teas that we have each day. In most cultures, it's traditional to offer a beverage to the house spirits. And so I thought, why don't we offer the first pour from the ginger tea every day to the house spirits? And we did. And there was this lightness that came into the house, this joy. We could feel it, this tangible joy that came into the house, this gratitude that we felt returned. And at the time, we were having a lot of bug problems in the house.
We live in a swamp. It happens.
Yeah.
It happens to everyone here.
Ants were getting in. Like every time it rained, all the insects that would be outside would just rush into the house. We noticed them going away. We didn't ask for that. We didn't ask for the ease that we had with a lot of other things that started happening around the house. It was just, we wanted to show our gratitude to the spirits of the land, and particularly to those in our house.
That's one of the other things with offerings that I found very profound when I started getting a deeper understanding of what it is. A lot of times it's a moment where you're recognizing the graces you've already received, whether you are aware of them or not, but through the act, you can become aware, both like, for instance, with the house spirits, there was a lot of times something would be missing and then you'd look over and it was right there in the middle of the table. Like just suddenly, like the table was clear. There was nothing on the table. And then it's just right there. And it's like, wow, thanks. Like, and it was like a thanks, but it wasn't like with the offerings, it started to help both of us to realize and appreciate more how much was being done on unseen levels in the environment that was helping the whole environment be better. I know for myself, every morning I do an offering of coffee to the Dagda, and I make the coffee anyhow. The coffee is there, but through this practice, through this offering, through this act of gratitude, I also became more aware of how much the Dagda had helped me out, was involved in my life, was there helping that coffee to even be a thing in the first place, to have that coffee. There was this awareness that kind of came along with that, but it started as an act of gratitude. I felt like I was being a jerk because I was making a coffee for two of us and leaving the third one out. And it's just general hospitality. Let's be thankful and offer the coffee. It was also thank you for the camaraderie, for the jokes, for the minor mischiefs that we get up to, the fun dishes we cook together. But it was this gratitude, also this awareness later that came through this.
One of the greatest offerings that you can do is to find a beverage to share with the spirits that are important to your life. Whether that's the very traditional communion that you would have in a Christian church with Christ, or having a glass of milk with Bridget, having a glass of beer with Bridget. She is also associated with breweries. I've noticed when I put honey in my tea and say a little prayer and have a moment of offering and sharing of the tea, there's that connection there as well. It helps us to remember, like you were saying, the many blessings that we get, the presence of these beings in our life. But it also helps us to remember the work that we should, ought, and are doing. There's a real power in offerings in that when you do them well and sincerely, you're not giving something up. I mean, yes, there's the tea that we offer to our house spirits and the coffee that we offer to the Dagda. It's not a sacrifice.
As I came to think of it, you're just sharing some of the abundance.
Yes.
You're offering some of the abundance. You already have plenty. When I make the coffee, there's always a little extra. When I make the tea, there's always a bit extra anyhow. I was throwing it away. I was wasting it before and is ungrateful and realizing, oh, wait, I should be grateful for this.
And we offer nuts to the spirits of the land on various holidays and special events. We call on these spirits all the time in our lives in hopes that they will bring us blessings and whatnot. But it's important for us to realize that if you don't have that relationship, why would they answer? That's really where offerings come in. And that, like I said, is as simple as a prayer. Taking some devotional time and reading poetry, studying the stories related to the individual in question, right? There are a lot of different ways that you can do this. It's not always with a physical offering, but if you're not building that relationship with the spirits, if you're not building a relationship at all with any of the forces that we're trying to have relationship with, and you're living in this delusion that by force of my will, I can demand the spirits to bow to me and do what I have to do, or they will see me as so pathetic that they will take care of me out of pity or something, which often is how I feel a lot of people interact with the spirits of just, woe is me, take pity on me, which is not the relationship that we're called to. But Jesus said that we are here to be friends with God, right? Paul said that we are not slaves of God, we're friends. But that's the relationship that we're here to develop, to grow. Yet we still often, in many of our churches, act as if we're slaves, we're servants. We still use that language, even though our own scriptures tell us not to. You know, what was it that God said, I believe, to Ezekiel? I do not want your sacrifice, but I want your love. I want your chesed. I want your compassion. What do I ask of you, O mortal, but that you love kindness, do justice, and walk humbly with your God? These are the things that we are asked. This is how you build a relationship. I think the Middle Ages have corrupted us in ways that we still haven't grappled with, even though they were so long ago. We don't have fealty to God as a bannerman to a liege lord. That's not how this works. This isn't some kind of divine feudalism. And in fact, none of our faiths, no matter what faith that you practice, unless it literally came into being in the Middle Ages. And I can't off the top of my head, maybe the Sabbateans, technically, if they even still exist. I can't think of a novel religious movement that started in the Middle Ages that is still alive today. If it didn't start then that feudal relationship didn't exist, right? We see the word king in the Tanakh. It doesn't mean the same thing as like when King Charles III calls himself King Charles. That word king, it's the same word, but it means something different because that's a post-reconstruction of what it meant under feudalism. And King David didn't exist under feudalism. There was no feudalism under King David. That idea didn't exist yet. And so we're still applying these ideas from the past, these misremembered ideas from the past. Like when we talked about the Queenship of Mary in a previous episode, I don't look at this as my liege lady, Mary. It's a statement of her power, her strength, her dominion. It's a statement of her privilege and her place in the kingdom of God to call her queen. It's not, for me at least, trapped in this medieval baggage because, well, Mary lived hundreds of years before the Middle Ages started, hundreds of years before this kind of feudal relationship ever got started. So to me, it's odd to even apply any of that to her. With our offerings, I often feel like some people treat an offering as if it's like the tax you pay to that liege lord. Like, I worked on my fields, here's my tax. And that's a tithe, not an offering. We may want to tithe, we may want to give a portion of what we have, but that's not an offering, that's a tithe.
And when one starts to look into what is a tithe, it was that you take 10% of what you have brought in and you're supposed to give that to God. Well, you can't, obviously, you can't just walk up and hand that to God. Really, the point of that was more of that reminder to make sure you're offering your first fruits. You're offering that. You're supposed to be giving that out as an offering. It's up to you to delegate how that is distributed.
Mm-hmm.
The operational part of the tithe is actually up to the individual how they wish to do that. But for it to be an offering of tithe, it's still given, not as an exchange.
I think the word that you're dancing around here in Judaism, this is your tzedakah.
Yeah.
This is the money that you give to righteous causes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's important for us to remember, especially those of us coming at this from a Christo-pagan place, that our bodies are temples. Our heart is an altar. Our prayers, our lives are a living sacrifice. All of that is true already. So in giving our offerings, we don't need a special place or a special time. It's nice to have altars. I think you should have an altar. I'm sitting in a room right now that has 4 altars in it. 5, technically. I can see a 5th one from where I'm sitting. I'm not opposed to having altars, but none of that's required. Wherever you are, if you want to give an offering of prayer, give an offering of prayer, give an offering of thanksgiving, and give it to where you feel it should go. When you're out in the valley and you see this beautiful landscape stretch out in front of you, and you're receiving this overwhelming flow of grace and awe and wonder from it, sometimes you want to just offer something back. And maybe that is an offering to God. Maybe that is an offering to the spirit of the valley. Maybe that's an offering to the trees, to the earth itself, to the river flowing down at the bottom of it, whatever it is. Just, you don't need to build an altar there.
It could be even as simple as just appreciating and giving thanks.
Offerings at their heart is, like we've been saying, this beginning of and continuance of a reciprocal relationship. I have a glass of milk with Bridget. Brian has a cup of coffee with the dog, like I would go out and have coffee with a friend. It's about furthering that relationship. It's not, oh, and I offer the most holy of coffees. And it doesn't have to have all that show, all that pomp, all that circumstance, because it is about establishing a firm and solid relationship. So hopefully that answers the question, because I've been asked this a lot, what my feelings are about offerings. Should we be doing them? How should we be doing them, and why?
Yes, often.
Yes, often, all the time.
As an act of gratitude.
To as many things as we feel called to do them. If this has helped you in any way and you think it would help somebody else, please share it. That helps us out a lot. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, review, whatever you could do on whatever platform you're listening to us from. If you have any questions or comments, don't forget to put them. If you're on YouTube or Spotify, you can leave them right there under where you're listening to us. Or you can head over to creationspaths.com and find the episode and leave your comments there. Or just head over to the chat and drop your questions in over there. Save yourself some time. Gladly try to answer them as quickly as we can. Also, just nice to get feedback from the community and let us know what you're thinking about what we're doing. While you're there over at Creations Paths, don't forget to follow to get our newsletter. We're going to have a second podcast launching soon, as well as a bunch of other stuff coming your way. We'll get more into announcements as we get closer to that. And while you're there, if you have a few dollars you can cast our way, it really does help us to keep all of this coming to you, pay our bills and everything. You can sign up for a membership. Members will be getting those classes that I have been talking about a little bit before everyone else as thank you, and so that we are ensuring to spend more time, have that time to spend in the comments as a thank you for the offering that you have given to us of your money. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And until next time, may blessings and light fill your life. Amen.
Amen.